Celebrity Sketchbook. The Christmas Speech 2011 with David Cameron.
And this is the Christmas Day speech. Hello, people of this country. Firstly, I'd like to wish you all a Merry Christmas and or a Happy New Year. Whichever comes first. Of course, it probably won't be that merry. The fact is, there are three certainties in life. Death, taxes, and my austerity measures. Whatever that means. But remember, I did have to do it. I inherited this mess from the previous government, who my advisors allege were called Labour. I know that I will enjoy my cuts this Christmas, especially when I pour the gravy on top. Gravy. And I thought you'd like to know that all my personal food comes from Marks and Spencer, because I'm worth it. Enough about that. It's now time to talk about 2011. Let's start by asking ourselves, what kind of year has it been? Well, it has been a year, but a 12-month one, significantly. Furthermore, it has been boss. It truly has been, because I am the boss, apparently. I have achieved much in my first year as President of the United Kingdom of England, Scotland, Wales, and that other bit across the sea where they sound a bit weird. So they do. In fact, this year, I learned how to do something I've never done before. Lie to people, but yet sound serious and honest. Heck, that's how I got here. By saying what you want to hear, rather than what you should. Also, I found out how to ride a unicycle whilst reciting the Greek alphabet. Although I haven't done it yet. This year saw many of Britain's cities not have riots, but in some they did. They weren't just any riots. A record number of windows were put through. August's glass bill was some 34 times higher than the normal average. The riots particularly affected me, most of all because I was on holiday, some of you might remember them, in Italy with the fam, and had to cancel a week's worth of booked Latin lessons and aquarobics just to come back and pretend to look angry in front of the cameras. The fact is, I suffered from vacatus interruptus, all because a bunch of teenage boot boys were tearing up some of our cities, as if they don't do that every weekend. Why couldn't those rioters have waited till I'd got back? Samantha would have got a kick out of robbing a few handbags. The 29th of April was the royal wedding of Prince William and his bride. It was a wonderful occasion. I was there looking my best, or at least my double was. I wasn't present because it clashed with my yoga at the golf course. I did have the TV coverage on, but I was doing my mantras to Kate Middleton. You looked lovely, love. As I say, I got out of it by hiring a lookalike, and he was even interviewed and featured on national TV. Realistically, I had no choice but to get a replacement, as I couldn't be asked going to the thing, but at the same time, it was obligatory, with me being the Prime Minister and all, that I was there. Until now, none of you have been any the wiser. I wasn't going to tell you all, but that was just too good. In 2011, I continue to do my bit for the environment. More than ever, I'm cycling into work. Literally. Which may explain the presence of a bike seen padlocked during Prime Minister's questions, ripping a hole in one of the green seats, which public money is now repaired. The other day, I knocked the speaker over on the way in, which is why he was heard saying, ouch, through Prime Minister's questions. But you do pay a high price to protect the environment. For longer distance journeys, such as Windsor, I travel by air, and by next year, I'll be helping the planet even more by travelling place to place by jetpack. Sorry, can we edit that last bit? They shouldn't have known that yet. Just as they shouldn't have known about our plans to brick up the Channel Tunnel in 2014 before it's too late.
So yeah, that has all gone out.
Is that on air? Is that on too?
Oh, it's gone out coast to coast.
As you all know, most university fees are increasing very slightly to £9,000 in some establishments. They're being tripled. But let's be honest. Degrees are no longer worth the degrees they're awarded. If Gordon Brown could have sent his cat to university, he would have done. The fact is, there is so much competition in the modern workplace, people have resorted to selling their degrees on eBay, which is good for business and internet economics. So there's always a plus side. But the system we have inherited means that you now need a PhD just to become a cleaner's assistant. I myself have had to gain a string of qualifications to get to where I am today. You couldn't even write them all on an A4 piece of paper. PhD, BSc, BA, NVQ, GCSE, MP, and PM. Social networking and cyberspacing have, this year, like subsequent ones in recent times, proved even more useful, relevant, and ubiquitous in modern society. More of you now have Facebook profiles than there are people on benefits. Yeah, I'm working on that. Now let me enlighten you on my social exploits this year. For me personally, it's very handy, as I have an iPad that I use in PMQs whilst the opposition is speaking. Boring. You don't need me to tell you. Now I've sent friend requests to over 5,000 people, which include MPs, their family members, foreign politicians, and celebrities in general. And more than 100 have accepted me so far, for which I'm very proud. One of my bestest Facebook achievements online, though, was tossing the penguin over 2,000 metres for the first time. The fact is, I achieved this at 4 in the morning after 10 hours of trying, when I should have been working on the welfare reform bill. In the end, I ran out of time, and had to resort to stabbing a pin through the paper to work out what to cut. I sent PMs, that meaning private messages, PM not standing for me for once, to many important people. One reply being from Boy George, who invited me to his flat, where he had a cat. I've also signed up to Twitcher, that site where you can tweet, and I advise you all to follow me now, because if you do, you can find out about every cut before I even propose it in Parliament. Talking about cuts, the economy. Do you want the good news or the bad news? The good news is that it's all bad anyway. This sham of a coalition government, or should I say conservatories, with them, the Lib Dems, tagging along, have made all the cuts we could have possibly done. We've even cut ourselves out of Europe. I even tried to sell off the House of Commons and in future hold Parliament in a conference room in Reading. And as for Nick Clegg, I haven't even given him the power to run his own office. The NHS was, is, and shall remain crap. But now it's crap we're trying to sell. I simply can't be arsed sorting out a mess that is uncleanable. I blame Labour for this. Because, on another note, British aviation is up in the air at the moment. The southeast airports are at bursting point, and this problem needs a solution. We know about the high-speed 2 railway proposals, and the new super airport that could be built in the Thames estuary, for which that blonde bombshell of a London mayor calls Boris Island. But more direct action must be taken. I kept my promise to scrap the 3rd runway at Heathrow. Instead, I propose to extend the 2 existing runways to a length of 30 miles long, so that people can see planes touching down at Reading or something. They'll fly directly over the M4, using that as a guide. By increasing the length of these runways by some 1100%, more aircraft will be able to use them, solving these capacity problems. I've considered the residents, and I've sent out 260,000 complimentary earplugs. That plan, genius! Oh, and as part of this proposal, one of the turrets at Windsor Castle will have to be removed. Apologies to you, Queen, but I am the Prime Minister. 2011 has seen the passing of many influential people. I heard with great sadness about the death of Amy Winehouse. I'll miss her, just as everyone will miss me when I'm voted out of this Tory show. 2011 was also the year that saw the back of 2 controversial figures in Colonel Gaddafi and Osama bin Laden, who both met their end in quite sensational circumstances, and Kim Jong-il, the former dictator of North Korea. I think they would join Europe before I would. He joins a list of world leaders this year who won't be seeing Christmas, this year or any other. Quite sad. He was an inspiration to me. Anyway, the point is, those dead people will be missed, because they're dead. Because let's face it, the world needs its bogeymen. I would have sent Bin Laden a Christmas card each year, but I could never find his address. Also this year, we must acknowledge the births of important celebrities, such as the latest child of Bosch and Bex. Yeah, Harper 6 or whatever his name is. And finally, as I roll to the conclusion of this speech, I would like to wish you all, the watching British public, a very Merry Christmas once again. I must say, in Parliament we don't do Christmas this year. George Osborne confiscated all of the House of Commons Christmas cards when he heard how much it would cost. Now we're only allowed to give each other handshakes, as they're free. But we have been given some presents. With the savings from cuts, we have been able to reinstate the second home allowance that we lost, as well as unlimited travel expenses. And actually, I'm rambling on a bit. Ciao.
The Christmas Speech 2011 with David Cameron.